In 1908, three teams were vying for the National League pennant: the Pittsburgh Pirates, the New York Giants, and the Chicago Cubs. On September 23, 1908, the Giants and the Cubs played each other in one of the last games of the season. Future Hall of Famer Christy Mathewson started for the home team Giants, while Jack Feister started for the Cubs. Both pitchers kept the game scoreless in the first three innings until Cubs shortstop Joe Tinker hit the ball deep in the outfield for an inside-the-park home run. The Giants scored in the following inning when Buck Herzog singled, advanced to second off an error, advanced to third off a sacrifice, and made it home off a single. The game was still tied 1-1 when the Giants came up to bat in the bottom of the ninth. Feister stayed on the mound for Chicago. Cy Seymour led off with a ground out to second base. Art Devlin then singled, putting the winning run on first with one out. Moose McCormick hit a sharp grounder to second, resulting in Devlin being forced out. However, Devlin's aggressive slide prevented a double play, allowing McCormick to reach first safely on a fielder's choice. Then, Fred Merkle came up to bat. At just 19 years old, he was the youngest player in the National League. Due to an injury, the regular first baseman sat out, and this would be the very first Major League Baseball game Merkle would ever start in. He had only 47 plate appearances during the season, but hit a single down the right field line, advancing McCormick to third base. With two outs and runners on the corners, shortstop Al Bridwell was next up to bat. On the first pitch, Bridwell hit a single into center field, and McCormick ran home. During this era, fans sitting behind home plate left the ballpark by crossing the field to exit via the outfield. Because everyone thought that the Giants had won a 2-1 victory, fans began to rush the field. The packed 20,000-person crowd flooded the diamond. Merkle, fearing for his safety, headed to the dugout and never touched second base. According to the official rules, a run is not scored if the runner advances to home base during a play in which the third out is made by a runner being forced out. The Chicago Cubs second baseman Johnny Evers signaled to a teammate, who retrieved the ball and threw it back to Evers, who then tagged second. The two umpires at home plate quickly discussed and ruled Merkle out. Fans in the field were so hostile to the umpires that the police rushed in to protect them. Unable to clear the field of unruly fans, the umpires ruled the game over, nullifying the Giants' last run, resulting in a tie game at 1 run apiece. Harry Pulliam, president of the National League, upheld the umpire's decision upon appeals from the New York Giants. The pennant race continued, with the Cubs and Giants tied at 98-55 to end the season. A makeup game would be required to decide the National League pennant. Chicago would win the match 4-2, allowing them a spot in the World Series, where they would play and defeat the Detroit Tigers, thus starting one of the greatest losing streaks in baseball history, with the Chicago Cubs not winning another World Series for another 108 years. There are varied accounts to Merkle's play, with some former players stating that a player from the Giants caught the pass to Evers before he got the tag out, resulting in the umpire ruling a third out from that interference. Merkle himself argued that he had touched the base, but would later recant this statement, but said that while the fans were rushing the field, he asked the umpire, who said that the game was indeed over, which is why he didn't touch second. There are also stories of Evers retrieving the ball from a fan to make the tag out, which would have resulted in fan interference. Regardless, Merkle's error would define his career. Although Merkle was known as a cerebral student of the game, his moniker of Bonehead would stick, and after a 19-year career in the league, he avoided baseball for the remainder of his life. When he did return for a Giants game in 1950, he received a loud standing ovation. Still, to this day, Merkle's misplay is one of the most famous errors of all time, costing his team a spot in the World Series and earning a spot in baseball history as one of the greatest mistakes of all time.